Okay, just imagine this for a second. What if a machine could know exactly what you're seeing? I'm not talking about it asking you or, looking through your eyes. No, I mean just by scanning your brain. And what if it could then draw a picture of that image straight out of your mind?
Welcome to the explainer. And here's the thing. That what if scenario, it's not science fiction anymore. Not even close. Today, we're going to dive right into the tech that's making this a reality. Right now.
Yeah, this is really happening. It's a field called neural decoding, and there's this breakthrough new model, it's called brain diffuser, that is just shattering what we thought was possible. It is literally reconstructing complex images directly from human brain activity.
Okay, just take a look at this. So on the left, that's the image a person was looking at. And on the right, that's what an AI recreated using only their fMRI brain scan. We're talking about an 80% accuracy rate here, which is just incredible. The model isn't just guessing, oh, it's a cat. No, it's capturing the specific layout, the pose, the whole scene.
Now, a breakthrough like this doesn't just happen overnight, right? It's really the culmination of more than a decade of progress in two fields that, seemed totally separate. On one hand, you've got neuroscientists who've been trying to decode brain signals since way back in 2013. And on the other, you've got the explosion of generative AI with models like Stable Diffusion. Brain diffuser is the moment those two worlds smash together.
So, the million-dollar question is, how? How does this actually work? I mean, how do you go from this noisy, super complex data from a brain scan to a clear, recognizable picture?
Well, the answer is a really clever two-stage process. The best way to think about Brain Diffuser is as a kind of sophisticated translator. It's converting the language of the brain into the language of an image. Okay, but before we get into the how, we kind of need to understand the what. So everything kicks off with fMRI data. It's a non-invasive scan. And what it does is measure blood flow in the brain. It's pretty simple. More blood flow equals more brain activity. And that super complex pattern of activity, that's the raw signal the AI has to work with. So this whole translation happens in two key steps. First, one part of the model looks at all that brain data and makes a blurry initial guess. It's basically figuring out the general shapes and the layout. Then, a second, much more powerful AI takes that blurry guess and refines it, adding all the detail and the meaning to create the final picture you can actually recognize. All right, let's break it down. Stage 1 is all about structure. There's a special AI model, and its whole job is to look at those fMRI patterns and translate them into a basic visual layout. You can see how it takes the brain activity and spits out this low-res, kind of blurry version of the image. It gets the where, it knows where things are, but it has no idea what they are yet. Okay, now stage 2. This is where the real magic happens. A super powerful image generator called versatile diffusion takes that blurry guess from stage 1 and just elevates it. It uses other signals from the brain scan, signals that scientists have figured out are linked to text and image descriptions, to fill in all the details. This is the absolute key. It's what allows the AI to understand, hey, I'm looking at an airplane on a runway, not just, a long shape on a flat background. And this comparison just shows you perfectly why you need both stages. Look at that middle image. That's the vague, blurry guess from stage 1. It's like the scaffolding for a building. But when you feed that into stage 2, boom, it gets filled in with all the meaning and realism. So you see, the structure comes from one part of the brain data, but the meaning comes from a whole different part. So this technology is, it's incredible, right? But the big question is this just going to be a cool tool for researchers in a lab? Or could we one day see a version of this in our actual everyday lives? Yeah, this research is definitely not happening in a vacuum. It's actually part of a much bigger wave of investment in what are called brain-computer interfaces, or BCIs. You've got big tech, you've got startups, and they are all pouring billions into AI-powered hardware. We're talking rings, glasses, pendants, you name it. And the end goal for all of them? To move way beyond keyboards and voice commands into a world of thought to text and, you guessed it, thought to image. Like tech analyst Maggie Gray puts it, the end game here is a totally seamless interface between your mind and your machines. The ability to just think a command or a text message or an image and have a device just do it. And this isn't some far-off fantasy. This is the future that major companies are pouring money into building right now. And the amount of money we're talking about, it's staggering. Meta alone has spent something like $100 billion on its Reality Labs division since 2014. That kind of cache is a massive accelerator. It's rapidly improving the hardware, the sensors, everything you need to make this kind of non-invasive tech a real consumer product. But, and this is a big but, all this incredible potential brings up a really profound question. As we get closer and closer to being able to decode the brain, we have to ask ourselves, what happens to our last truly private space? You know, our own thoughts. And lawmakers are already sounding the alarm. In a recent warning to the FTC, a group of US senators made it really clear that neural data is just different. It's not like any other kind of data. It can reveal our most intimate, private inner states, our emotions, our mental health, our patterns of thinking, even if it's supposedly anonymous. This has kicked off a really confused and inconsistent race to try and regulate this technology. Just look at the US, for example. Colorado passed a law that requires you to explicitly opt in. A company has to get your permission before they collect your neural data. But then you look at California, and their law is way weaker. It only gives you a limited right to opt out, and only after your data has already been collected. So you've got two states right next to each other with two totally different standards for your mental privacy.
And honestly, the debate is just getting started. Other states are looking at totally different approaches. Some want to treat neural data just like a fingerprint. Others want to ban its use for targeted advertising completely. A few are even trying to prohibit tech that could bypass a person's conscious decision-making. The bottom line is, right now, there is absolutely no consensus on how we're supposed to protect the mind.
Okay, so beyond just decoding what we see, this technology has another application that is, if you can believe it, even more mind-bending. It can actually be used to explore the very structure of our brain's visual system itself.
I want you to look really closely at these images, because here's the wild part. No human ever saw them. They're not real photos. Instead, what the researchers did was create synthetic brain scans inside their computer, basically lighting up a very specific brain region. Then they asked Brain Diffuser a fascinating question. Hey, what image would cause this exact pattern of brain activity? And these pictures, these are the AI's answers. So in a very real sense, these are the perfect images that these specific parts of our brain are tuned to see.
And the results are just stunningly specific. When they activate the part of the brain that processes text, the word ROI, the AI generates images of signs and letters. When they light up the place ROI, it generates rooms, buildings, architecture. This is basically allowing us to directly visualize what different parts of our brain are hardwired to look for in the world around us. It's amazing.
And this really brings us full circle, doesn't it? This tech is already the best we've ever had for decoding images someone is actually seeing. But the ultimate goal, the real frontier, is to decode things that aren't being seen in the real world. Things like our thoughts, our memories, and yeah, just like those scientists first tried way back in 2013, maybe even our dreams.
Look, the science is moving at a blistering pace. It promises to help us communicate in new ways, to understand the brain better, and maybe, just maybe, to even unlock some of the secrets of consciousness itself. But it leaves all of us with one of the most important questions of our time. As that boundary between our minds and our machines gets blurrier and blurrier, how are we going to protect our last truly private space?